Welcome to the Buddha Magic Project podcast. Today, we'll explore rebirth, aging, illness, and death through the lens of the Buddha's awakening. A key question arises: how could the Buddha know what happens at death before dying? He answered this in two ways. First, by discovering the deathless dimension during his awakening. Second, by recalling his own past lives and understanding the process of death and rebirth. The Buddha saw death and rebirth as processes stemming from the mind, processes that can be stopped through mental training. He avoided questions about what dies or is reborn, focusing instead on the actions that drive the cycle. His teachings emphasize that while we aren't responsible for our identity, we are accountable for our actions, which shape our experiences even at death. This raises another question: how can a conditioned being experience the unconditioned deathless state? The Buddha reframed this, showing that defining yourself imposes limits. By letting go of self-definition and experimenting with the mind, he discovered it was possible to break the cycle of rebirth and reach the deathless. The realization of Nibbana brings freedom from aging, illness, and death, eliminating the limitations of birth. The Buddha taught not self to prevent us from limiting our potential to find the deathless. While he couldn't prove his insights directly, he encouraged adopting his teachings as a working hypothesis. He offered two pragmatic reasons for doing so. First, believing in the connection between actions, karma, and rebirth encourages skillful, harmless behavior. Second, it keeps open the possibility of discovering the deathless, whereas disbelief closes off that potential. Why limit yourself when the possibility of something greater exists? The Buddha also emphasized developing mental strengths to counter the body's decline with age, illness, and death. Conviction in his awakening is once a strength. This leads us to rebirth, or further becoming, punnabhava, which involves taking on an identity in a world of experience. Becoming occurs on both micro-mental and macro-external levels, starting with desire and clinging. Clinging takes four forms: to sensuality, views, habits of practices, and doctrines of self. These correspond to mental functions recognized by psychology: raw desire, IED, reality principles, views, moral codes, superego, and self-identity, ego. However, Buddhism differs in two ways. First, no desire is raw. All desires have reasons. Second, while psychology sees perpetual conflict among these forces, Buddhism teaches that skillful clinging can align them to support awakening, like holding onto a raft to cross a river, then letting it go. Becoming begins with desire, which creates a world in the mind. For example, fantasizing about ice cream involves imagining the external world, ice cream parlors, and your role in obtaining it. This process also applies on a macro level, such as at death. When the body can no longer sustain life, the mind clings to a new identity based on craving. The Buddha compared this to fire clinging to wind, carrying it to a new house. However, this transition is fraught with risks. Desperation, delusion, and rapid mental shifts can lead to poor outcomes. Without training, the mind grasps at anything, much like falling asleep without control over thoughts. The Buddha identified three types of craving that fuel becoming: craving for sensuality, fascination with planning for pleasure; craving for becoming, desire for an identity in a world; and craving for non-becoming, desire to destroy one's current state. Paradoxically, even craving for non-becoming leads to more becoming because it's rooted in the framework of self and world. This insight was central to the Buddha's awakening. To escape this cycle, the Buddha taught focusing on the processes leading to craving before they solidify into becoming. Dispassion towards these processes halts the cycle. Dispassion arises from understanding five factors: the origination of craving, its cessation, its allure, its drawbacks, and realizing the drawbacks outweigh the allure. This realization leads to escape. Meditation is essential for recognizing these processes and preparing for death. Ideally, one ends the cycle entirely, but if not, creating good karma ensures a favorable rebirth. This is why the Buddha emphasized virtue, generosity, and goodwill as daily practices. Good karma involves both actions and mindset. Even those who have performed good deeds can fall at death due to a negative mental state, while those with bad deeds can rise through a positive change of heart. Thus, mindfulness and proactive effort are crucial to shaping our lives and deaths. Developing resilience to aging and illness prepares the mind for death, maintaining clarity and freedom despite physical decline. In Thailand, funerals often involve creating a biography of the deceased, detailing their life and final moments. Meditation plays a vital role here, equipping individuals with skills to help themselves when others cannot. In conclusion, the Buddha focused on death and rebirth as processes we can control and end through mental training. Our actions, not our identity, shape our path. By letting go of self-definition, we can explore the mind's potential and discover freedom. Nibbana, the release from aging, illness and death, offers total liberation. Adopting the Buddha's teachings as a working hypothesis allows us to test these truths for ourselves and embark on a path of discovery.